doesn't matter, does it? They're coming. They're already here. What else do I have left to do but tell you about it? I don't know if anyone on this planet is going to live through this madness, but I suppose whatever's left of us afterwards ought to know what happened. My name isn't important. Once, I was an archivist. There were 30,000 years of knowledge in that grand palace of a building. Everything our world had ever done and built and written all in one place. We archivists were responsible for maintaining it all. It was a daunting task, and perhaps it made us blind to the signs of what was to come. The abnormalities the telescopes detected in the distant reaches of the void, the earthquakes, the strange cults that sprung up on the streets preaching that the beginning, not the end, was what was to come. How did we not recognize them until it was already too late? Ha, too bad, I guess, now that they're already here. The majority of all life on Malai exterminated in hours, and they're not done yet. The sky is calm and blue, and those things are up there. I can see them now. They look more like giant masses of light and flesh and glass than real living things. Entire cities reduced to ash, mountains of tattered corpses everywhere I look. My eyes are melting in my skull just looking at it. The door was what first caught my interest. It was located in a back hall of the archive's labyrinthian underground, well out of the way where anyone would notice it. It was solid silver, and covered in symbols that seemed to move and shimmer as I looked upon them. It had what appeared to be a lock, but it was sealed completely shut. What of that door down in the lowest sector? I inquired to the other archivists, seeking to satisfy my curiosity. None of them proved capable to recognize it, and the Grand Archivist himself warned me that whatever lay within was perhaps better lost. I did not heed his warning, and the door became my obsession. Day after day I sought to open it, neglecting my other duties as an archivist. By force, by speech, by all the keys I could find, nothing opened the door. It remained as sealed as the day I'd first found it. The Grand Archivist terminated me from my position, but still I continued to return to the archives and that horrible door that tormented my imagination. Perhaps if I had anyone else in my life, a wife, friends, family, I could have put the door to rest in myself, and lived out the rest of my days before the end in peace like so many others had. Times were good. Prosperity was high in the world, and there was no war or conflict to speak of. All those foolish quibbles of mankind had been solved long, long ago. There was nothing for me to worry about, except that accursed door in the lowest sector of the archives that threatened to consume me. Elsewhere, the signs grew more obvious and more troubling. The cults crowded every street. What has happened once will begin again, they chanted over and over, a rhythm of madness I heard every day and night on my way to the archives. The quakes became more frequent, and our best and brightest scientists suggested there could be a disturbance in the planetary crust. Most shocking of all, the telescopes detected artificial signals coming closer. The signals were the discussion of the archives that fateful day, spoken of in feverish whispers. The religious were proclaiming that the prophet would return from beyond the stars and bring mankind to a new age of peace and prosperity, even greater than that which we already possessed. How right they were. That day, the day I approached the door for the 1,000th time, it simply clicked open. Without the slightest amount of effort, it opened. Beyond lay a hall shrouded in pitch-black darkness, caked in the dust and decay of eons. I was utterly astonished. I could barely think of what to do. Had the builders designed their construct to only open when the right circumstances were met? In that case, what were those circumstances? Those questions, they could be answered later. I hurried forwards into the darkness, gripping an anelectric lamp in my shaking palm. The hall, I found, was surprisingly simple for the archives. Too simple. The disappointment I felt in that moment was maddening. What had I assumed to find here? No, 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 no! I could have screamed right then, until the light of my lamp struck the walls. Ancient symbols peered back at me, crudely etched into a language I did not recognize. It took me minutes to realize that they were the same runes appearing on the door I had spent so long seeking to open. A lost language. From then on, I feverishly worked to translate them, determined to make my fame and fortune through this great discovery. The other archivists, my former colleagues, thought little of me. They thought I had gone insane, and my haggard appearance from months of restless work did me no favors. All the while, a subtle dread began to creep through me. Perhaps whatever lies within is best lost, whispered the Grand Archivist mockingly, determined to defeat me at my own game. I would not accept defeat. I couldn't. Outside my work, the signs continued. The earth, the cults, the stars, strange dead corpses washing up from the seas in bitter scents, tainting the wind. All was fatefully lining up for the end, dare I say now, when at last my work stood completed. Years later, after I had first seen that door, I recoiled in absolute horror at what I had uncovered. It surely couldn't be true, and yet my translations were impeccable, perfect. The message of the door said, in plain letters, "What has happened once will begin again." Then came the writing inside that wretched tomb, and it made me utterly sick as I sat there at my study, helplessly reading the very words I had spent so long reconstructing into my own language. "Fear not, descendants. They are coming from beyond the stars. This world is their sustenance, the calf upon which they come to feed as it ripens on the power and knowledge of its inhabitants. They bred us, placed us here to grow and breed and build. We are their livestock. They will consume you as they have us. It cannot be stopped, and it can never be stopped. What has happened once will begin again." And consume they did. Now the world is dead, our civilization devoured. I'm the only one left. They will no doubt depart once their feast is over, to come again when hunger strikes them once more. I'll be a corpse by then, forgotten as the new ones come to take our place and make our mistakes again. As I was once told, they will come again from beyond the stars, and the cycle will continue. The awful truth you best know. What has happened once will begin again. What has happened once will begin again. What has happened once will begin again. Begin again. Begin again. Again.